Hello, new interns. We are back, and today we have Stephanie Valenzuela. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Um, Stephanie is a marketing research intern, and that's all I'm going to say for now because she's going to be introduced through the course of all these questions. You'll get to know where and other things about her. But I just want to ask first things first, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing great, Sean. Middle of the week, have a lot of things going. I'm located in California, so in Riverside to be exact, so high desert. It's a little bit hot, but it's been a good day so far.
Oh, I'm glad that it's for you that it's a little bit hot because I know if I was there, I would probably be dying. Once it hits 70 in San Francisco, I feel like I can't take it. So I'm not sure how 90s would work. But I want to get started with an initial question about your school, and that is, Stephanie, what school do you currently attend, and what's your major, and then kind of when is your expected grad date?
Yeah, of course. So as I previously mentioned, I am attending school in Riverside, so California, University of California, Riverside, and I'm a fourth year, my senior year now. Hard to believe, but we've already made it this far. And I'm majoring in sociology with administrative studies with a concentration in marketing and administrative studies. Pretty long, but that's how I got involved with my campus. And I'm located in Riverside, and that's a little bit about me. Yeah. And I'm
Cool.
expected to graduate June 2023. Wow.
Okay. Well, I'm praying for the both of us. We've got the same grad date. I think we're going to make it. Now, about your current internship, which when I came across your profile, I thought it was really cool. I wanted to know more. But for the people who haven't seen your profile yet and they're just meeting you, can you tell us what is your intern title and who are you working for? And maybe if you can give a little bit of background on them, just kind of explain to us the company. That would be great.
Yeah. So over the summer, I had the privilege of being a marketing research analyst for Entravision Communications in US Media. And essentially, they're a global company where they navigate TV, radio, streaming, and just kind of a niche environment in the Latino world. So, as a marketing research analyst, it's a lot about storytelling and data, and using data to tell a story on how to get these two companies to work with Entravision and promote sales in that way. So in reality, it was a little bit of everything. I worked with post video production, marketing, research analytics, and honestly, radio. I was really thrilled, but to work with radio was something that I really hadn't imagined, with the title research analyst. And I'm very appreciative of my internship with Entravision to have been able to explore that realm and all these different media production opportunities. And essentially, that lasted all of summer, an amazing experience. And I really learned how to tell a story through all these different groups in the company. So being able to work with our sales team, with our marketing team, our research team, our video production team, all inclusive to work and tell a story to have our partners work and sell their businesses.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds like okay, so you recently finished the internship is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And great. Okay, I love it when interns are very aware of what they've done and what the company's doing, because then when I kind of grill you a little bit soon, you're going to be able to tell me all those different areas that you helped in, which you just mentioned. So thank you for giving us kind of an overview of what you've done and who Entravision US Media is. So I also want to know kind of how it was that you were able to get that position. So did you apply for this role? Did you apply on a job site or did you have a referral from a friend or did you happen to know someone within the company?
So it's more of the latter two. I got a referral from a friend who I've had to work with
Hmm.
and privilege of working with. So a little bit of a backstory as to how I got involved. I am now the president and CEO of our United Latino Students Association, and that is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that overlooks 11 chapters in Southern California. And by chapters, we mean universities. So essentially, Latino business clubs in UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, here at UC Riverside, a lot of our Cal States, and I overlook that. And with that, we have an alumni advisory board. And one of our alumni advisors essentially works in Entravision and offered that opportunity to our community. So across all these 11 chapters, we've had our alumni offer a lot of resources. And one of those resources being internship opportunities, career opportunities, professional development, resume workshops, etc. And he reached out to me and he's like, I think this is a great opportunity for ULSA community to get involved with this opportunity. And I, obviously, being the provider of all these resources, I found it fit to, take that on, take the opportunity and, apply. And, I felt a little discouraged, to be honest, because my major is sociology and this was marketing research. But ideally, I want to go into media entertainment. And, my mentors always tell me, you miss every shot you don't make. So I went and applied and I got it and I did it. And here we are. So yeah, a little bit about that.
First, wow. Okay. The role you're in right now with ULSA. Wait, is that? Yes, ULSA. Did you mention that you're the president and CEO of all the chapters or of the UCR chapter?
Of all the chapters.
Of the entire organization?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's unbelievable. Well, it seems like you were definitely, you were really qualified for the internship that you went into. It wasn't just, it wasn't a handout for free, you worked for it clearly.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And how long have you been with ULSA, would you say, like in total? And then also, how long have you been president and CEO? If you know off the top of your head. If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So I started being a part of ULSA during my sophomore year. And that was when COVID hit. And, as a college student, I knew I needed to build myself up as a professional. And not always are college classes going to be able to offer you that, let alone it was going to be more challenging via Zoom. So I had a work supervisor reach out to me and say, do you want to be a part of this organization? And I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what ULSA is or what it stands for. Yeah. But I got involved, and since then I haven't left. So I've been a part of ULSA for 3 years now, and I've been the president since May of 2022. So,
wow.
Well, 4 months of being president, 5 months.
Well, you clearly made an impact to have reached that position only after having been there for, like you mentioned, three years. So, man, I'm going to do some more research on that. Now, once you submitted your application to Entravision, how long would you say after, how long was the entire process of submitting the application until receiving the role and they said you have it? How long did that kind of take, roughly?
I applied in May and started in July. So I'd say during the application process, like a month and a half. And with that, it was a really great learning experience. I was a little on my edge, wondering like whether or not I was going to get it. And I just kept believing in myself, but it took some time. But in the end, I got it, and I have a lot of great things to say about it.
Good. And from your point of view, what would you say? You had someone who could personally vouch for you, and that's fantastic. But I'm sure you had to do, maybe calls or interviews. What would you say was the value that Entravision saw in you? What was it? All your experience, let's say with ULSA, or was it your personality? Kind of what earned you the role in that respect?
I definitely believe both factors played a role. So my own personality, as well as my experience and the connection. So all that came to, and then essentially like develop me. And, I had experience with ULSA about, being in charge of social media websites. I wasn't necessarily a marketing um, director for ULSA, but I worked with our teams and I would
Okay.
reach out to them that way. For external development, reaching out to professionals. As an alumni director previously with ULSA, I was able to communicate with those alumni and create those relationships that would essentially help me incorporate letters of recommendation and essentially build up my own personal self by being able to manage a team of advisors
Yeah.
to help advise all our community of 11 chapters. And I started off with ULSA as an intern, external intern. So at a very young start, I was able to grow and develop as a professional, as a leader, as a Latina, as a woman,
Mhm.
and build this character while not forgetting my roots and bringing my upbringing with me. So, like my family, my culture, what I
Mhm.
envision within myself, and essentially incorporating that into Entravision and what they wanted in the sense where, being bilingual, being able to be a part of this niche organization and just being able to combine both my own personality and the skills I've learned into
Mhm.
this Entravision internship, which was marketing research analytics. And I was open to trying new things.
Uh-huh.
And in essence, having a holistic understanding, I felt allowed me to be a really great candidate. And they saw something in me and picked me for that role.
Yeah, and clearly, I'm sure they could tell that it wasn't, you're obviously you join organizations to gain new skills, but you also care about the mission of ULSA.
Mm-hmm.
That's very clear. You expressed that. So no, I definitely see why they would want to hire you. You actually have a lot of experience working in that organization. And last question about kind of the process of how you got your role. Do you remember so after you sent in your application, do you recall, were there, what kinds of interviews were there? Were there any phone screenings or face to faces or over Zoom? What did you experience before getting that role?
So I definitely had a phone interview and just kind of checking up, a little bit of feedback of who I was. And that was a little out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't scheduled. It was just kind of like, hello, this is
Yeah,
Entravision. And I was like, okay, hi, drop everything that I'm doing, giving my
right.
full attention. And then after that, I got an email saying that I was given the role. And after that email, I was able to have like an interview, of a little bit of a walkthrough of what that looks like.
Mhm.
And having my connection there on the Zoom call was very encouraging to see, like, like he is there to support me and to serve as my mentor and my internship supervisor. So that was really comforting in the sense to have see a familiar face, but also be ready to take on this new task and allow our alumni from ULSA to see me in a different light that was not under United Latino Students Association.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. And was it a part-time or a full-time internship over the summer?
So it was accredited. So I was actually obtaining college credit to do that internship.
Oh,
And yeah, so I just needed to complete X amount of hours to obtain school credit. And that's how I was able to work about it that way.
perfect, perfect. So was it like did your schedule change each week in terms of hours, or it was the same set schedule for got
Same
it.
schedule and hours. Yeah.
Were you working with other interns, or was this more you were working closely with a superior or your boss?
There was one other intern as well, and she was the marketing research. She was marketing intern. I was marketing research intern.
Got it. A little more niche than her. And was your role, now every role has some clerical tasks, some support in it, and then of course there's projects. Were you was your role more project oriented or more support oriented, or was it equivalent in both? How would you characterize it?
I think definitely at the beginning of the internship, it was a lot of shadowing and mirroring and just observing. So I'd say
Mhm.
like the first few days, just observing how everyone works in a team, being able to sit in the meetings and just kind of like relay their critical thinking and their observations into the projects that they were doing. And, as the following week began, I was given up my own project, and I was able to, give my own ideas and support my own thoughts and implement that into this project. And so I would say it was a little bit of both, being able to observe and then implement what I was taught and then mentored, and then, be able to carry that into X project.
You mentioned sitting in on meetings. Was this a remote or an in-person or hybrid position?
It was an in-person internship.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there are probably a lot of people jealous of you because based on my interviews so far, many people have been doing remote because that's just what's available and it's easier, but the people who do in person, it's the most exciting. You can't beat it, being able to actually speak with the other people on the team. That's really cool. So good to hear that. And okay, this is the meat of the interview. I'm hoping you can give us, similar to kind of what you mentioned before, could you give us another brief overview of what you were involved in while working at Entravision? Like essentially, we want to know, we want to figure out what your role was and what you contributed. But before maybe going into depth on something, which we will do, I'm hoping you can just give an overview.
Okay. So an overview of what I've done with Entravision was essentially learn how Entravision could work with other companies to tell a story, and gathering the information to tell that story, which was working with our sales teams, our marketing team, to make an event calendar, as well as promoting it via radio, via television, via live stream through all these Telemundo, Televisa opportunities, and essentially seeing how a campaign working with a lot of communities is broadcasted through radio, through TV, and essentially Entravision is the driving force through that. So like for example, let's say you own a car dealership and you want to, promote it. So you contact Entravision, and Entravision is that middleman for you, where they essentially help you pivot and broadcast your advertising in that sense via radio, via television, etc.
Got it. Okay. That was a great example. That cleared up a lot of the utility of the company you're working for.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, given that, could you go in depth on as many as you remember and that you're willing to share, kind of parts of your internship, or maybe a project you worked on, or an area, like maybe when you were helping the sales team or when you were helping radio, because I still want to know what that means, what that meant for you, and how you were learning with the team, or what you were contributing maybe. So if you could start with one example from your experience and just kind of elaborate on it. Details are great, but I want to figure out kind of what you did in your role.
Yeah, so a project that I took on was to, manage post-production. And so essentially, Leukemia in Society is an organization that helps spread awareness about leukemia. And with Entravision, we were able to communicate with our community, families that have been affected by that. And so our families that were impacted by this were given a platform by Entravision to share their stories, to spread awareness. And with that, I was able to talk to the doctors and interview them and interview the patients, and also essentially record that. And when that was recorded, I was to create a script. So we wanted to live stream this conversation, yet it was pre-recorded, and we had to edit all of the video production so that it would fit within a segment that we could post on Facebook Live, on Instagram, on a commercial ad. So there's a lot of background that works to it. And I learned a lot about like live television, that it's not live. Everything's pre-recorded, edited, and there's a lot of time, sweat that goes into that to make it look like a seamless video recording.
Right. And okay, that's super cool. you interviewed patients and doctors. Now, the one in particular that you're talking about that they wanted to post, was that an interview that you had done with someone or a different one? Um,
So I had worked with my supervisor throughout all of this. We had the questions, and I was able to ask the doctors and the patients these questions. But together we formulated these questions that helped us, receive those answers. And along this progress, I was able to work with our marketing team to learn how to edit and create and skim this video to a concise video length, as well as working with our social media director to also broadcast these messages and recordings that way. And essentially, I was able to make the script to help us, work alongside that and, kind of like eliminate little errors where, people stuttered or, pause to think and just
yeah.
make snippets and stuff. Yeah.
So the script, that's like, so the transcript of the recording, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And so, okay, so you have this transcript. Now, you probably started with maybe like whatever the computer generated, unless you guys typed it all by hand first. Do you know what method?
Oh,
How did
no.
you?
We handwritten. It was, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is, well, it makes it better because the computer, oh, I hate it. It always jumbles everything and you get all the ums and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
and because Entravision, there's a lot of Latino communities that we're focusing with this. So being bilingual not always translates Spanish correctly, or just having me being a bilingual Latina allowing me to implement my mother tongue into this interview process, because we did interview families that spoke Spanish and doctors that spoke in Spanish. So having to translate that in Spanish to English or English to Spanish so that we're able to broadcast and share this, segment to our communities of color.
That's fantastic. I'm going to grill you on one more part of that, and that, as you mentioned, so I understand with the editing, you were helping. I'm sure you were giving advice because you knew the interview well, so you could determine kind of what could be cut and what's essential needs to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But with the marketing team and where it's going to be broadcasted, can you give me more on kind of how you were working with them, or was it more observing and kind of learning the process of where they were going to distribute it?
Oh, it was definitely being able to learn and observe. So just seeing how they were able to use Adobe Photoshop and making these snippets so they could post it on TikTok or Facebook Live, and just being able to pick their brains as they went along this transition. So how
Yeah.
does this, what does this, button do? And then just being able to segment that way and just being able to ask questions and not being scared. So I think that was really beneficial for me in this internship opportunity where I was able to grow by asking questions.
I feel like just based on that example alone, it feels like you shared me an enormous amount about what you've done, even though it was one example. So I want to give you the opportunity, if there's another example you had in mind that you could kind of dissect it for us, I would love to hear it. But if you think that what you've said is pretty much, that's a good way to kind of characterize your internship, then we can leave it at that. What do you think?
Well, I feel like I wouldn't be doing my internship justice if I just talked about that one experience.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. If there's another experience you give that you're also especially proud of and that we can really kind of hear about what you've done and how Intravision's helping, then I would love to hear that as well.
I think like definitely being able to help with our live stream. So as I mentioned before, Entravision is a global US media. It's global. It's a global company. Entravision Communications is a global company, and in order to have Entravision work at a global scale, there has to be meetings where people in Africa, where people in Europe, and people in Asia are able to connect with each other, and that is called the US Media live stream. And to be able to be a part of that, to sit on a call, to see how all these different companies in all these different countries are working together. And I was able to work with our director of IT and just see how he was able to post this entire introduction this entire live stream via Zoom with over 1,000 people on call, and just, really take a seat to enjoy all these CEOs and see what they're doing, what they've done with their projects, and what they're doing within their country within Entravision. So it was just an amazing experience to sit on that global live call.
That's, yeah, no, I mean, she said when someone says a company's global, we hear that and we kind of go, oh, that's cool. But the way that you just put it, and actually being able to see all the other people from all the other countries, you said there was around 1,000 people in that Zoom call.
It was
That's crazy. My goodness, in a great way, that's crazy. Wow, yeah, and you can just kind of see, well, essentially different cultures. So
a lot of different time zones too.
oh my gosh, I bet someone was logging in. People were logging in from like 3 in the morning or something, I bet. That's a really cool experience. Yeah, that alone, I would say would make the internship worth it. Thank you for sharing that. And if there's any closing, I have a couple more questions for you, but I don't want to move on prematurely. But I feel like you've summarized your time at Entravision well. So if it's all right with you, if there's anything else you wanted to mention about it, you can. Otherwise, we'll move forward. What do you think?
Well, I'm currently doing it's called an externship. And that one's, I know that we're kind of like focusing on Entravision, but at this current moment, I'm also doing another externship with PwC and Paragon One. So that's like a whole different realm. I haven't put that on my LinkedIn. That's on my bad, but yeah, I'm working on that right now too.
What was you said PwC and Paragon One?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I haven't. Do you know what kinds of that's interesting because you were able to apply with the experience you earned at Entravision, I'm assuming, to these new companies. PwC, I might be ignorant. Is that that's like the really large, that's a very large company, right? That's the one that everyone wants to apply to. Okay. What's it called? It's I don't want to get it wrong on camera.
PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And could you tell us, if it's not confidential, what's your role in both of those as an extern?
That's essentially my role. I'm just an extern right now.
Got it.
So, we're doing a lot of fundraising strategies. So I guess I'm a strategist for fundraising. But yeah, so that one's still not complete. So I don't know if I want to like completely share that. But yeah, so I think once I've completed that, if you wanted to like schedule another interview, like I'd be more than willing to talk about it.
I'm glad you said that, because I would love to do follow-ups with certain people, seeing where they've gone from their internship where I originally interviewed them for. So thank you for offering that. I think we'll have to do that in the future. But okay, what would you say is the most valuable thing that you learned in your internship with Entravision?
I think the most valuable thing I learned in my Entravision internship was to not be afraid to ask questions, because more likely than not, people are willing to help guide you, but also understanding the power of storytelling and how you're able to work with so many different organizations, so many different segments within the company to share a story. And I think the importance of being able to expose myself in an internship where I'm able to learn skills that aren't traditionally taught in college classrooms really exposed me to, a whole other realm of opportunities, cultures, and essentially a different way of growing as a person.
That's good to hear. And if people wanted to get into a similar position as you, into a similar internship, what advice would you have for them?
I would definitely say don't feel discouraged by the job requirements. I am a sociology major and I was doing marketing research, nothing to do with my major. So don't let the job descriptions or requirements discourage you, because more likely than not, you have a different story to tell in an interview. So definitely share that within your resume, within your LinkedIn, and expose yourself to those different opportunities, because more likely than not, you're going to stand out simply because of being a different major or having a different requirement or experience. And, no recognition is too small. If you're a sibling, if you are a babysitter, take appreciation in that. And you will likely or not have a lot of skills from that experience that job employers are looking for. So don't sell yourself short and believe in yourself.
Yes, but be confident in what you've done. You don't have to compare yourselves to the super accomplished interns. You can everything. I like how you phrase that. Be confident in what you've done. So, we are going to, if anyone's interested in, Stephanie's experience past what she's already shared, or you'd like to reach out to her, we're going to include her LinkedIn and any other links, maybe social media if she's interested in sharing that, but at least her LinkedIn will be there. And I've kind of just volunteered her for that, but I'm sure she would be okay if you if you reached out with some interest. But we are going to wrap up our interview now. We will probably have a follow-up one, given that she's already in other internships. I feel like she just finished one and she already has more, which is awesome. I love people who are involved in things. So we'll definitely see you again. And I want to just say thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming out and sharing your experience. I've had a great time. So take care.
Yes. I hope to talk to you soon. Bye, Sean.
Yeah.